Hi everyone, my name is Tanisi Pooran. I'm the founder of Salt+Seed and I'll be facilitating this virtual workshop on altar building today. I'm really excited to be able to engage and share this knowledge with folks even as we social distance, and really excited to be working with the CARE project at the Khyber Center for the Arts, and that they were able to provide this opportunity for me to do this work virtually. So today we'll be talking about altar building as a grounding practice, which can be especially important during times of upheaval or restlessness. When we're holding a lot of emotions, it can be a nice practice to engage in. It is open to all levels and all ages. And if you are working with children, we're going to discuss a little ways that we can make it accessible and safe for children to engage in as well. I'm going to run through a little bit about my experience and where I come from in altar building, because there's many different perspectives. I'm going to talk a little bit about ways you can start your practice, and then we'll go over how to actually build an altar. So I began this practice myself more in depth about 4 years ago, after learning from some really amazing Black and Brown femmes at a Women of Color in Solidarity conference in New York, and I was able to just deepen my practice. I also have a lot of my knowledge from my grandmother and my relatives, who this is our traditional practice. So I had grown up around it, but it was one of those background things. And it wasn't until I got older and wanted to learn more about my own culture and heritage that I started to explore, and then have been really blessed to find people in my community that have shared their knowledge with me. So I'm hoping to pass that along and share it with other folks. I do come from a perspective of Caribbean spirituality, but there's so many cultures, so many different practices, spiritual and religious practices as well, that do use altar building and explore. So I encourage you to learn about your connections to it. If you do not have a spiritual or religious practice and you want to engage in it as well, there are lots of ways to do it in a way that is respectful to other people's cultures and doesn't will suit your needs. So I'm hoping to give you the tools, but I encourage everyone to continue to look into their own practices and own traditions. It could be a really fun discovery as you learn. So a couple of questions to start with are, what are you trying to communicate with your altar? What are you trying to build? Are you looking for a grounding practice? Are you looking to communicate with ancestors? Are you hoping to use this as a place to pray to a deity or pray for the health and protection of family, or people you don't know, or for a specific goal? Perhaps you're looking to find an area of healing, and altar building seems like a pathway towards that. So this can be something that you can journal about, think about for a bit, and it can help you design the kind of altar that's really going to suit your needs. There are lots of ways that you can build an altar. I think one of the most important things that I have found in my practice is having a clear, safe space, which is not always easy for everyone, but you can also make a portable altar if that's something that feels better and more realistic for you. I suggest finding a flat surface, making sure it's cleared of any debris and dust, and then setting up your altar. It can be nice to gather your things before you kind of start to actually build it and put it in place, so you can really focus on how you want to place things, and not be running back and forth looking for objects. There are, of course, so many things you can place on your altar, and it's really up to you at the end of the day. I'm going to try to suggest things that you have in your home. Making this video, I didn't really go out and buy supplies. I only bought 1 or 2 things when I was at the grocery store already. So I really don't want to suggest anything where you have to do any extra trips. If you don't have exactly what's in the video, that's fine. These are just suggestions. It's really what feels right for you, what feels grounding for you, and what is best for the altar. So some of my suggestions to have are some oils. A lot of people like scented oils, or, you know, like shea butter, coconut oil, groundnut oils. Those kind of things are very like grounding, very rooting. I didn't really have a lot of those oils typically that I would use, so I just used some olive oil. And I also like to always have salt, which you can see here, and it's just rock salt that I had in my cupboard. I also have salt water. You don't have to keep this at the altar at all times. What I do, and what I did before this video started, was I walked around my room with the salt water as a cleansing practice. This is something I've learned within my own spiritual practice, is not in everyone's practice. So I suggest you look into it if it is right for you. But salt water is very cleansing, it's very healing. So having salt and salt water is both cleansing and protective. So it can be a really nice thing to have at your altar. Candles as well are really nice to have. I live in an apartment and we can burn candles. That's fine. Not every building or every place that's okay. So you could use electric candles, you could use a nice soft lamp. If you have children around and you have candles, I just suggest, like, if they're very young, just being mindful of that, but still allowing them to engage in the altar building. And if they're a bit older, just explaining the safety around candles, especially when there's other things in an altar. Just making sure they're kind of, I like to keep them towards the back, but away from the wall, just for safety. But electric candles, soft lighting, fairy lights, all really nice ways to get that light into your altar in a safe way. Also always have incense here. I currently don't have an incense holder, so it's just sitting at my altar right now. But you know, a nice scented candle, essential oils are really nice. A lot of people like to have essential oils at their altar because you can also engage with it. You can put them on yourself, you could put them in water, you could have a diffuser and kind of make that ambiance and environment around your altar. Photos are also really wonderful to have. You can have a photo of your ancestor, of a family member that you're praying for, a photo of a place that is meaningful to you. There's so many different things you can have, a deity, so many things that just feel right for you. Again, it's very personal. I also have plants always at my altar. Plants are very healing and calming for me. I have a lemon, which is meaningful to me, and also is not really in my tradition, but in lots of other people's traditions. Citrus fruit is quite meaningful. I like to always have, if I'm trying to commune with my ancestors, if I want to speak to them and ask them to speak with me, I like to put out a small plate of food, and if that isn't possible for your environment or whatever, a citrus fruit or piece of fruit is really great because they last quite well. Can't keep them out forever, but they're more stable than some other types of food. I may also put out a little bit of rum, maybe some rose water, just different things that you have around. It's really up to you. There's so many ways that you can engage and place your items, and I really encourage you to place them in ways that feel right for you. If you're looking for a grounding practice, something stable, like keeping the big things at the back, smaller things at the front, having things on a smooth, flat surface is really great. and how you place them may influence how it feels to you. So experiment, try it out a few different ways, see how you feel. I'm gonna turn my camera so you can see how the altar looks. So here is my temporary altar right now. It's on my desk, but I would often put this on a little shelf or bedside table. Top of your dresser is great as well. It can be really anywhere that works for you in your home. So I have a few of the things I mentioned here before, some plants. I have oil, this incense, which I would normally light before I started or as I started. We have the salt and salt water for cleansing and protection. I have some shells and rocks which hold meaning to me. Here we have the evil eye for protection. I have battery operated candles, which is what I have in my home right now, but you can also use regular candles. If you are working with children, and building this with children, or if your housing doesn't allow lighted candles, it's a really great option. If you are using lighted candles, I suggest just keeping them away from the wall, explaining to children safety practices, or just making sure that there's a bit of separation. I have the lemon. Citrus fruit can be important in a lot of traditions. It's important to me. I like to have a bit of food and drink for ancestors. That could be like a little plate that I made, a little glass of rum. It could look like some fruit, depending on what it is. I may leave this set up, but I would keep the salt water, and fruit fresh. If the oil is open, I would definitely keep that replaced and fresh, but you could have a sealed bottle. You can also have some essential oils. Back here, just behind this plant, I have a handwritten note from my grandmother, and some more essential oils. So just different little things. This is kind of the way I like to arrange it. So candles kind of at the center, and the back with the balance of the salt and the oil on either side, incense in the middle, and plants on either side, but you can arrange it in a way that feels right for you. So this is basically a good starting altar. You could put things on the walls, you could have it larger, you could have more candles. There's lots of ways to go, but these are household items that I had, and that are meaningful and feel right in my grounding practice. I encourage you to look into yours, to think about it, to read, to journal, and see what an altar would look like for you. But this is a good base to start. So that is basically how you put together a simple altar using household objects. There's a couple of key elements I'd like to highlight, which is having an oil or kind of grounding, binding agent, something nice smelling if that feels good for you, like incense or essential oils. This can go on you, or it can go on your altar or in a diffuser if you have one. Salt, it's really wonderful. It's protective, it's cleansing. Salt water, again, to cleanse your space, and is very protective and grounding as well. Used in a lot of different traditions. I encourage you to look it up if it is in your spiritual or cultural tradition. Important objects, so that could be like a little rock like this, a note from a loved one, a photo of someone or of a deity, something like to feed your ancestors, so like a piece of fruit, part of your meal. You know, maybe if they're like my ancestors, you want to give them a little rum. Candles are really nice, or like I said, electric candles are nice lighting depending on where you live and what feels right for you. Some plants are wonderful to have around. Even if they're fake plants, it can be nice to have that like greenery. You could lay some fabric down, and you can find ways to make this stationary so it's always there. Or you can maybe have a nice box or bag where you put your things in if it is something that you want or need it to be portable. So some are safe to keep to keep the things to build your altar, some basics. You can also just use what is in your home, and whatever that looks like for you. If you have rose water, you can use rose water. If you have, different items that feel right and feel special for you, I encourage you to explore that and use them. The main thing is that the altar building is something that meets your needs for grounding, for healing, that is in line with your spiritual and cultural practice, and that you're really honoring that and understanding that. So I encourage you to continue learning. To reach out to me, you can contact me through my website, which is salt+seed.com, or through Instagram at salt+seed, or you can find us on Facebook. And I would love to see if you build altars. Please tag me or send me a DM or an email. I'd love to see what you build and chat with you about that. I'd also really like to thank the CARE Project and the Khyber for the support and encouragement to do this virtual workshop. I hope you all learned from it. And if you'd like to learn more, please reach out. I always love to chat with folks about this and get to know folks in the community who are interested in building and growing their spiritual practice. We're all in a time of unknowns, of feeling a lot of different feelings, and having a grounding practice can be really important during this time. I feel it's important at all times, and especially during this time, having a moment of slowing down, of taking a moment to look inward, to speak with my ancestors and get some of their wisdom, and connect with that side of myself when there's so much going on in the outside world, has been so healing and important for me. I hope it is for you.